Alright, the boring part is over. We're moving into the firearms now. So, I'm going to introduce each firearm in this screen, but then I'm going to move to the weapon selection screen so I can show you the description of the weapon and the statistics of the weapon. Now yes, they brought back descriptions for the weapons. That's one positive thing about Operation Raccoon City. And yeah, I kinda do like how they show the weapon statistics of each weapon before going into the mission, so you know what kind of weapon you want. Alright, so the first weapon class, of course, is going to be the handguns. Or as they put it, the secondary weapons. See, this is really why I don't like Operation Raccoon City. It's like Call of Duty or Gears of War with the Resident Evil title. But anyway, the first handgun is the UBCS standard issue. The standard sidearm for the Umbrella Biohazard Countermeasure Service. Known for its light weight, it is a handy weapon to have at your side. Alright, and here are the weapon statistics. Average damage, average blood frenzy, acceptable accuracy, low range, acceptable rate of fire, and acceptable ammo. Alright, let's test the UBCS standard issue handgun out. Alright, so although the weapons in this game have a fixed fire rate, you can't see it just by holding down the trigger like most Resident Evil games. It only does that on automatic weapons. But on semi-automatic weapons, you gotta keep pressing the trigger yourself. But anyway, now let's test the UBCS standard issue on a human player and see how many shots it takes. Alright, so 12 shots from the UBCS standard issue to take down a human player, when you shoot them in the chest anyway. Always go for the headshots if you can, especially with that auto-aim feature that this game has. Alright, so that is it for the UBCS standard feature, or issue. Now for the next handgun, the UBCS silenced issue. A suppressed variant of the Umbrella Biohazard Countermeasure Service standard sidearm that provides its user with an increased level of stealth. Alright, and here are the statistics. Average damage, average blood frenzy, average accuracy, so that went up a bit. Really low range, so that went down a bit. Acceptable rate of fire, and acceptable ammo. Now let's test the UBCS silenced issue out. Being a silenced handgun, it definitely lowers the noise that this weapon can cause. You could barely hear the gun when I was firing that thing. Alright, now let's test the silenced UBCS standard issue on a human player. Alright, so the UBCS silenced issue also took 12 shots. So being just a silenced version, it makes sense that it's the same amount of shots. The only different statistics you saw earlier were like accuracy and range, I believe. Alright, so that is it for the UBCS standard issue silenced. Now for the next pistol, the regular handgun. The standard sidearm for United States military officers. It is a versatile weapon that can be used in a variety of combat situations. So this handgun has the same exact statistics as the UBCS standard issue. It's just a different look, basically, and a different name. So it can look like the Spec Ops use a different handgun. But since the stats are the same, I'm not going to bother showing them. So let's test the handgun out. So the only difference between this handgun and the UBCS standard issue is just appearance. Other than that, it is exactly the same. It's probably pointless to test on a human player, but I'm gonna do it anyway just to make it legitimate. Alright, so 12 shots from the standard handgun to take down a human player. As I suspected, it does have the same exact stats. Alright, that is it for the handgun. Now for the next weapon, the Handgun SP, also known as the silenced handgun. A suppressed variant of the standard sidearm used during covert operations, where stealth is of the utmost importance. And once again, the statistics are exactly the same as the suppressed version of the UBCS standard issue. So no point in showing the statistics. Alright, let's test the Handgun SP out. Alright, nothing to say about this handgun, it's just another silenced one. Let's test it on a human player. Alright, so no surprise, 12 shots with the silenced handgun. So nothing much more to say about these handguns. They're all the same when it comes to damage, it seems, but they are the lowest form of weapons when it comes to the handguns. So once you get the XP to buy the other handguns, I suggest you do so. Alright, that is it for the silenced handgun. Now for the next handgun, the Handgun HP. And I believe the HP stands for high power, as this gun is designed after the Browning high power. The Handgun HP is a close-range weapon that's one of the most popular semi-automatic handguns in the world. Alrighty then, and here are the statistics. Great damage, high blood frenzy, acceptable accuracy, acceptable range, low rate of fire, and acceptable ammo. So I guess this would be a good weapon to use if you want to cause a lot of blood frenzy. Alright, let's test it out. Alright, well, there's hardly a difference between any of the handguns in this game. The first three, anyway, so I don't really have much to say. So, let's go ahead and test it on a human player. Alright, so only 9 shots with the Handgun HP to take down a human player. Makes sense, the HP stands for high power, and you saw the blood frenzy this thing can cause, so that's why I started bleeding fairly early right there. Alright, so that is it for the Handgun HP, or high power. Alright, now for the next handgun, the Lightning Hawk. And this is the only magnum in the game. The Lightning Hawk gas-operated semi-automatic pistol is a close-range weapon that's capable of shooting more powerful ammunition than most other pistols. Deadly and beautiful, it should be a privilege for your ill-fated enemies to get such a nice parting gift. Alright, and let's look at the statistics. Astonishing damage, really high blood frenzy, low accuracy, low range, really low rate of fire, and low ammo. Alright, so this is a powerhouse weapon basically, and that's why they say close range. It's the only way it's really gonna work out for you. Alright, let's test the Lightning Hawk out. So this is the only handgun that has a different fire sound glyph than the rest of the handguns. Partly because it's a magnum, so they have to do that. Judging from that, this will have much more firepower than the rest of the handguns, so let's see how much less rounds it will take to defeat a human player. Alright, so only 6 shots with the Lightning Hawk to take down a human player. So this handgun or magnum does live up to its firepower. Only if you're at close range though. The accuracy does suffer a little bit, as well as the fire rate is kinda slow. But if you know how to use this weapon, it might be one of the best weapons to use because of its sheer firepower. Alright, that is it for the Lightning Hawk. Now for the next handgun. The classic Samurai Edge. The Samurai Edge is a custom-made pistol created for stars. It was designed by Joseph Kendo and was sold in Kendo's gun shop. And here are the statistics: high damage, great blood frenzy, average accuracy, acceptable range, great rate of fire, and acceptable ammo. So this is a very good all-around weapon, it seems. There's like no low statistic at all. So let's test the Samurai Edge out. This is my favorite handgun, by the way. Well, it definitely has a much higher rate of fire than the rest of the handguns I've reviewed so far, and that's definitely the Samurai Edge when you look at it right there. Looks exactly like Wesker's in Resident Evil 5. Alright, let's test the Samurai Edge on a human player. Alright, so 8 shots with the Samurai Edge to take down a human player. So not as powerful as the Lightning Hawk, but still quite powerful, and more powerful than the previous regular 3 handguns. So yeah, the Samurai Edge is by far the best handgun in the game, simply because there is no bad statistic about it, really. It has a really high fire rate, so you can do some damage. Alright, so that is it for the classic Samurai Edge. Now for the last handgun, the return of the Matilda. The Matilda is a unique pistol that supports a stock. It possesses
3-round rapid-fire capability, although it uses up ammo rather quickly.
That's exactly how the merchant put it in Resident Evil 4, so I thought it would be cool to do that. Alright, so here are the Matilda's statistics. Acceptable damage, great blood frenzy, low accuracy, really low range, average rate of fire, acceptable ammo. So, I don't know about this one. This is a DLC handgun, by the way, I forgot to mention that, and I don't know if it's worth your money. The only advantage with it is burst fire, so pop 3 rounds off, have a better chance maybe of hitting the enemy, but I don't know. That is a poor range, so it is close range only. Alright, let's test the Matilda out. Alright, so it's definitely taking after the Matilda, but that's not the exact same Matilda. The Matilda in Resident Evil 4 was a Heckler Koch VP70, and that is not just a VP70. I think that's a mixture of 2 different handguns. This very well may be a fictional weapon. Whatever weapon it's based off of, I'll put in the description, of course. But anyway, let's test the Matilda on a human player. Alright, so 15 bullets from the Matilda, or 5 trigger pulls to take down a human player. Ooh, just in time, too. Yeah, 15 shots. I mean, that just shows you the Matilda is pretty much the same as it always was. I mean, with the 3-round burst fire and all, it does take quite a few amount of shots. It is the weakest handgun when it comes to firepower, it seems. But the burst fire makes up for that. You can get your enemies done quickly. But as the merchant puts it, of course, it does use up ammo rather quickly. Alright. So that is it for the Matilda, as well as all handguns.